Hello and welcome to my review of the Questoris Knight Styrix for Warhammer, the Horus Heresy from Games Workshop, or should I say Forge World. They've kind of moved Forge World products within Games Workshop's web store now, rather than keep the two stores separate, which is going marvellous for them. One of these Knights at the moment would cost you £151, making it a whole £46 more expensive than a normal Knight Questoris. I think I picked up this Styrix and the Magira in a set of two for under £200. It might have been just slightly more, but 2 years ago, and I picked them all up I think 2 years ago, I put their original price of being £131. So yeah, they have gone up by 20 quid in 2 years, in just 2.5 years really. So that's not too bad. But if you're wondering why this is so much more than a normal Knight, and consists of way less parts, let's be honest. You know, the normal plastic Knight kit has so many different variants and things in it. This you're just getting this variant. You'll probably get like the battle cannon and a few other things, but mainly it's all the Forge World resin that you can see. I suppose there is a reason why I didn't put the all the armor plates on and things, because they don't really stay on. You know, I'd need to put some white tack to have them on there, so I'll probably do that a little bit later on. But what we'll do is, the format of this review is as usual. I'll go through, we'll take a closer look at the model, and we'll go through all the detail and things. Then I think I can show you some spare parts from what I've just, there aren't many, it's pretty much what you see is what you get. Then I will go through a load of size comparisons with other Questoris Knights and, you know, the Cerastus Knights, other Mechanicum Knights like the Moirax and the Atrapos and things, because this is kind of a Mechanicum Knight, although you can use it in your knightly households. And then finally at the end I'll go through all of the rules and why you will pick this one with this Volkite Sheriffile, however you pronounce that. So first things first, let's have a look at the Knight. It's, yeah, it's you either love it or hate it, I think. Weaponry, I think the weapons look great. I think they actually look better than the Knight Magira. I'm not sure why, but I always think this one is the Magira because of this big Volkite. I don't know why. I just yeah, in my head I think this is the Magira. Speaking of head, this one hasn't got a very pretty one really, and I think that's the divisive point of this mini. Everything else is fine. Yeah, you know, it's annoying with the leg poses that you can only have them in the same leg pose as every other Questoris Knight, and that was a very, you know, that was an oversight from Games Workshop. When they first initially brought the Knight kit out, they should have had it, you know, either left foot forward or the right foot forward. I probably would have ended up with way more Questoris Knights than 10. I think I've got 10, probably more than I have, because, you know, those leg poses really do make all the difference. But yeah, the head is not that good. It's certainly not as good as the Magira's head, which I think is fantastic, and I know a lot of people have put the Magira head on the Styrix and just binned that one, you know, and then duplicated that. I think that head works best on both. This one is, yeah, I kind of understand it though from a Mechanicum point of view. You know, it's the symbolism of like a human face or humanoid face, as in flesh, and then you've got all the machine aspect to the right hand side, and it kind of mirrors that Omnissiah, you know, face symbol that you sometimes get. So I get that in a way, but I just think for this Knight it looks, well, I guess unfinished, but I'm on the fence that I don't mind it. I'm not that fussed. If it was meant for this kit, it's meant for this kit, and, you know, just deal with it. But the things I do really like is of course the carapace and the armor panels. They're very nice. They're kind of like Beetle-esque. I think someone asked me a while ago, or when I was building one or something, was how do the pilots and things get put in. I'm pretty sure once they're in there for life. You know, this is a Mechanicum knight at the end of the day, but if you do need to pilot it for whatever reason, I think these panels kind of open up. They're like shutters, so they just open up there and then open up there, and then that's how you're in the actual knight itself. So everything else, you know, you've got a specific like graviton weapon, I think that is. You've got the little flare shield thing, whatever that is. We'll talk about that later. You know, you've got these squared off shin armor plates. You've got this layered groin plate. You've got the Volkite charavel itself, which is very, very nice. I'm not sure whether I have got a cable to hook this up. I don't know whether it needs to be hooked up. I think it does. I think the sort of cabling attaches there and then feeds back into it. So, you know, I'll obviously have to do that at some point once I've set a pose. This is, of course, new. This is the ammunition or energy feed to the Volkite. The claw is decent. It's different to the Megira's claw, as you can see. You know, it's got more cabling at the bottom. The claw is like the claw, if you know, you know. Whereas the Styrix looks more like a clamp type claw, whereas this one looks like a, well, yeah, if you've ever tried to win any toys from a arcade before, it looks like one of those. It's a shame it's not on a you know, extendable pole arm or something, so it can reach out and grab something and then hold it to the graviton and implode it from the inside up close. That's just the way my mind works. But yeah, that's the differences compared to the Megira. The different main weapon, the different claw, the different auxiliary weapon, and the different head. And of course, the Styrix has this extra ammunition type back to it as well, whereas the Megira does not have that. So I guess it just runs off its reactor to fire this. I think it's a lightning cannon. Anyway, that is it for like looking at this model. Let's go straight into the spare parts and things. I'll just leave them like they are. So these are actually the spare parts right here. So yeah, ignore the fact that there's armor plates there. This is the cabling that I'll have to detach at some point. This is the cable that I'll have to attach. I've got some knee armor panels and a chest piece armor panel. It's a shame that you don't get a Mechanicum specific chest piece. It's just the normal knight one. That is a downside of this kit. I would have liked to have seen a mini kind of resin armor panel like you do get in the Trapos kit. This one, you know, just there, and that really leads me on to the size comparisons, I guess, with other Mechanicum knights. So this is where it stands next to the Atrapos. You know, the Atrapos is a fair bit taller, but you know, in a way, the Atrapos is £70 more expensive than this Styrix. The Megira, we've already had a look. It's going to be the same size as all of your other Questoris knights that you've got, but I just think that with the beetle design and things, they definitely stand out compared to your standard Questoris knights. Compared to a Moirax right here, I think this is like a don't speak to me or my son again, because it's, you know, I've kind of modelled it in a similar way, but with a better knightly head. Maybe I should have used that head instead. That probably would have worked better. But I've just gone for like a knight head there, which, oh well, never mind. Maybe for another one I'll change that. But still similar with the claw and the Volkite weapons. That was the look I was going for. And then finally, comparison that I like to make is just with the Asterius. Why so Asterius? It's the largest kind of knight you can get without going into Titans. and that's where it stands next to the Styrix. And the Styrix that I've done, I've put it in kind of like a hunched pose as well. But yeah, it just gives you an idea of the size. The difference in price though is astronomical. You know, you are going to be paying an extra £250 more to get the Styrix. The Styrix is now £400, which is yeah, a lot. Final little comparison I like to make, which I didn't do in the Atrapos, so please do forgive me. It's one of those rare times where I've forgot to do this, is just a comparison with the smaller minis, you know, the usual three. So we've got a normal Space Marine there, Slime Marbo and a Primaris. So again, just gives you an idea of how big these are. You know, we can kind of say that this is the size comparison for the Atrapos as well. There's Primaris, and yeah, these knights are just on a different level, aren't they? If you can't justify spending 500, 600, you know, £1.5 grand on Titans and things, this is kind of like your next go-to, isn't it? You know, you can still have these really large minis, and I would argue that these are more usable in game. You know, you can actually have an army of knights, even if it's just like 2 or 3 of them against someone's full army, rather than, oh, I brought a warlord and yeah, it's going to just destroy everything, and it's going to be lots of fun. So yeah, that's the where it stands up next to other Mechanicum minis. Okay, this is my part of the review where I will go through all of the rules for the Knight Styrix. It shares a double page spread with the Questoris Knight Magira, and it will cost you 380 points, which is actually 5 points cheaper than the Magira. It is a Lord of War choice, and its stat line reads: it's movement of 10 inches, weapons skill 4, ballistic skill 4, strength 8, front armor's 13, side and rear are both 12, initiative 2, 3 attacks, hull point 7. Right away, that is exactly the same stat line as a Knight Magira. The only difference with the stat line with a normal Questoris Knight is the initiative. These are much slower in combat. It might be because they are machines rather than an actual kind of, I guess, human pilot in there, but it's an important note to make that they are going to be slower in close combat. You know, the normal Questoris is piloted by a knight. It's initiative 4. These have half that initiative. So, you know, I would question the effectiveness of going into close combat. I would question the effectiveness of you deciding to put these in close combat to mush things up. The war gear, it's armed with an arm-mounted Reaper chainsword, an arm-mounted Volkite, Shearavile, I can't pronounce that, and then on the hull it's got a front-mounted Graviton gun and an iron shield. Its special rules: night vision and overtaxed reactor. We'll talk about the overtaxed reactor in a moment. And then options: it can exchange its arm-mounted Reaper chainsword for an arm-mounted Siege Claw with built-in Irad cleanser for 25 points, which pushes it then past the 400 point price. So yeah, whether you think that's gonna then be worth it, you know, to go over that 400 points, it's going to end up at 405, which is 5 points more than a Cerastus Lancer, which has a better strength, way faster movement, more initiative, more attacks. It has that flank speed, and it has the shock lance. So yeah, it's whether you think that Siege Claw and the Volkite weapon is worth it. But let's just go through the special rules before we get into the weapons. Overtaxed reactor: when destroyed, a model with this special rule resolves catastrophic damage at AP3. That's all it means. The weapons then, I will go through the Reaper chainsword because I think this might be the first time I've done that, because I think this is the first time I've done this for Horus Heresy. But of course the Reaper chainsword is a melee weapon. It's a strength of a 10, AP 2, melee and shred. Of course, it's going to be hitting with 3 attacks though at initiative 2. The Siege Claw itself is a strength times 2, so that's going to be 16. So that's a big upgrade compared to the 10. AP 2, melee, brutal 2, sunder and wrecker. So Yeah, I think that's worth the extra points and the buff there. The Arad Cleanser, which it's got one of these built in. It's a template weapon, so a bit of a flamer. Its strength is only 2, AP 5. It's only assault 1, but it is Fleshbane and Radphage, which are very nice. And then the big Volkite weapon, it's got the Shiora Veil. That is the biggest and baddest Volkite weapon in this book. We've seen some Volkite weapons on Titans now through the Adeptus Titanicus range, and obviously we've seen the Volkite weapon on the Glaive, but this one is a 45-inch range, strength 8, which is rare for a Volkite weapon. Its AP is only 4, it's 5 shots, and its deflag rate. So the only thing extra you're getting compared to a normal Volkite View Glare, I guess, or even a Volkite Culverin, is, well, compared to the View Glare, you're getting more range and higher strength compared to the Culverin. It's got the same range, but you're getting a better strength and better AP. So in this book, at least, it's the best Volkite weapon. You know, it's a decent range. You know, 45-inch range is good. I just wish it had more shots and had some kind of beam rule, something like that. Deflag rate's good, but difficult to justify it being, what, 3 inches shorter than a las cannon. So, you know, if you're just going trading shots point of view at the same range, you know, you could have 5 or even 10 las cannons pummel this, and this knight is not going to be able to hit back at that 48-inch range at all. The other weapon it has is a hull-mounted graviton gun. Let's not forget that. The graviton gun, it's a relatively short range of 18 inches. It doesn't have a strength, but the AP is 4. It's a heavy 1, blast 3-inch, concussive, graviton, pulse, and haywire. So it's all right. You know, it's that little 3-inch blast marker at 18 inches. It'll do a bit of damage. Good against other Mechanicum units, I'd say, and vehicles. So yeah, there's a few cheeky little weapons on this. You know, it's got that graviton, it's got the Rad Cleanser, which is like the flamer built into the claw. The claw's decent, and the Volkite is all right. You know, it's going to do more damage against squishier units, definitely. Anything, you know, this vehicle is going to really wreck against squishy kind of Solar Auxilia, even other Mechanicum units and things like that. I would not put this up against a shooting match against an Atrapos or a Porphyrion, or you know, if the other person's got Titans, I would pick, well, I would just pick Titans, but this knight is definitely not going up against other knights or vehicles. It is purely a you know, infantry killing knight. It can survive a bit of punishment with that iron shield. I think they used to have flare shields though, I'm quite sure, but then they've just rolled them all into one with the iron shields, and that's what stood them apart. You know, the little shield thing next to its head on its right hand side, your left, that is kind of what a flare shield looks like, you know, in terms of a part for Mechanicus. For Mechanicum, it's on some of the vehicles and other knights and things. So yeah, bit of a shame that we're not getting anything like that on this knight, and I think that would have set it apart, giving it a flare shield at a 4+ invulnerable save all around, or reducing the strength of a weapon or something like that. That would have, yeah, just added its survivability. But yeah, its weaknesses is its low initiative. The weapons don't pack a punch against heavily armoured units, and it's a bit more vulnerable from range. You know, we're talking extreme range, not obviously heavy bolter range and things. But what do you guys think? And that's all I've got to say about the Styrix. I'm glad I called it Styrix throughout the whole review and not Megaera, which has been difficult to accomplish. What do you guys think? Do you like the head? Do you like the weapons? For me, this is definitely a rule of cool kind of knight, something that fits the aesthetic of the other Mechanicum knights. It's not a knight so much as, oh, it's going to do lots of damage, like the Asterius and like the Atrapos. It's definitely a knight that you get, you know, because you like the look of it, and it goes well with the other Mechanicum. But its usefulness on the battlefield really depends if you're up against an opponent that has mainly Terminators and a Primarch. Please do put your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. It'd be great to hear from you. I'll see you next time with a review of the Styrix. Magira. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor Protects.